Si Netchete na nawawala ng mata kapag nakakakita ng kulay pink. Siyempre, ako, sino pa ba?
Uy, nandyan pala kayo? Good day everyone, I'm Joyce with the M. Marie. Joyce Marie Barcelon, one of your reporters. Pero, bago tayo magsimula, magdasal muna tayong lahat. So, may we all bow our heads for the opening prayer.
Lord, before we begin, we would like to thank you that we were able to present our report, even though an online video, especially given the high heat index. We pray that from the start until the end of our presentation, our classmates will gain meaningful lessons and understanding. Please guide and watch over each one of us in our respective homes. Amen.
Ayan! Okay pa ba ang lahat? Bago tayo magsimula sa ating lesson, meron muna tayong munting palaro. At yun ay ang word puzzle. Nandito ang aking partner na si Mr. Phil para explain ang mechanics.
Game mechanics. Number 1. Listen to the question or definition. Number 2. Try to guess or arrange the jumbled letters. Number 3. Once the timer is up, state your answer. Number 4. The host will announce the answer right away. Number 5. Last, enjoy and have fun.
Handa na ba kayo? Kung oo, halina't simulan na natin to.
Round 1. Isa level. Basahin ang definition. 3 letters lang yan ha. Timer starts now. Okay, time's up. The correct answer is Alternative Learning System or ALS.
Ayan, ang dali lang, di ba? So, dumako naman tayo sa round 2 na merong 4 letters. So, it provides tailored instruction for students with unique learning, physical, emotional, or behavioral needs. So, it ensures equal learning opportunities through personalized, individualized education plans. Okay, so timer starts now. Okay, so the correct answer is SPED or Special Education Program. Sobrang dali ba? Pwes, pahihirapan naman namin kayo. Pero, konti lang. Meron itong 9 letters.
Round 3. Average. It is the act of including someone or something within a group or a structure. Again, it is the act of including someone or something within a group or a structure. The correct answer is inclusion.
Kaya pa ba? Kasi papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part.
Exciting na part!
Round 4, hard level consisting of 10 letters. So, it is a systematic process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data to evaluate knowledge, performance, or value. Timer starts now. And the correct answer is assessment.
Feeling ko, hirap na kayo. At may mas ihirap pa yan. Round 5, hard level consisting 11 letters. So here, it means watching or listening closely to something to learn about it. Answer now. Time start now. The correct answer is observation. Finally, tapos na. I hope nag-enjoy kayo. Thank you everyone. Now, let's go back to the topic.
Thank you everyone, and now, magsimula tayo sa ating classroom rules. So first, listen carefully when someone is speaking.
Second, raise your hand if you want to answer. Third, participate. And last, of course, respect everyone's ideas. Ayan, bago tayo dumako sa ating topic, let's read our objectives. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to identify types of assessment and apply appropriate instructional and testing accommodations for diverse learners. Explain programs such as special education, inclusion, ALS, and madrasa education designed for different learners. And last, understand and implement quality differentiated instruction based on the ALS K-12 basic education curriculum. And now, dumako na tayo sa introduction ng ating topic. So, ano nga ba ang assessment? So basically, assessment is a systematic process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about what learners know, understand, and can do. It is not just about giving grades or test results ha. It is an ongoing activities. So ibig sabihin, tuloy-tuloy siyang ginagawa ng teachers para ma-identify yung progress natin, kung ano yung strengths natin, or kung ano yung mga learning needs natin. Dito rin sa assessment, nalalaman nila kung effective ba yung teaching strategy nila and kung na-achieve ba yung mga learning goals or learning objectives. And for example, hindi lang naman sa exam nalalaman kung natututo tayo, di ba? Kasama rin sa assessment yung recitation, group projects, activities, or even yung pagsagot natin sa klase. Lahat yan ay ginagawa ng teachers para masuri kung nag-improve ba yung learners o kung may kailangan pang ayusin. Next, we have learning resources. This refers to all tools, materials, and equipment that support teaching and learning. Ito yung mga libro, visual aids, technology, and videos. Importante yan kasi mas ginagawa nilang clear at mas interesting and syempre mas naiintindihan yung mga lessons. Isipin na lang natin, yung mga bata, mas nauunawaan nila yung parts of the body kapag nakakakita sila ng pictures or nakakanood ng video tulad ng kesa mga explanation na puro salita lang, di ba? Then, we have instructional accommodation. Everybody reads. Adjustments made in how lessons are delivered or activities are presented. Ibig sabihin, ito yung pag-a-adjust sa pagtuturo, pero nang hindi binabago ang learning standards or objectives. Mahalaga ito because it creates an equal opportunities para sa mga learners na mag-participate at manguna sa klase regardless of their abilities, backgrounds, or situation. For example, meron tayong magiging estudyante na malabo yung mata or may hearing difficulty. And for accommodation, pwede natin siyang ilagay sa front seat or bigyan ng sariling copy. Same pa rin naman yung ituturo natin sa kanila pero sa ibang way lang or approach para sa ganon ay makasabay siya. Diyan papasok yung instructional accommodation at parang ibig sabihin niyan is fairness, ganon. Moving on to differentiated instruction. Everybody read. Teaching approach adapted to different needs, learning styles, abilities, and interests of students. Ibig sabihin, yan yung approach ng mga teachers kung paano nila i-adjust yung mga methods nila, activities, and assessments based sa different needs, learning styles, abilities, at interests ng mga students. Alam naman natin na hindi tayo pare-parehong mag-isip at matuto, di ba? At ang pangunahing goals ng differentiated instruction ay first, recognized, challenge, help, and create. So first, recognize. kailangan natin i-recognize yung kabilisan ng mga bata kung paano sila matuto. Kasi hindi naman lahat pare-pareho ng bilis or hindi lahat ay fast learners, di ba? And next, challenge. Kailangan ay ma-challenge natin sila appropriately. Ibig sabihin, hindi yung sobrang dali na nakaka-bored na and hindi rin naman yung sobrang hirap na nakaka-pressure na. For example, kapag may activities, 'di ba, yung mga mabibilis matuto, binibigyan sila ng mga challenging na task and yung mga mga slow learners naman, binibigyan sila ng mga guided activities pero pareho silang natututo tungkol sa topic, 'di ba? Next is help, of course, para matulungan yung mga estudyante. And last, create. And now, why accommodations are needed for diverse learners? Bakit nga ba? We all know that all learners come from different backgrounds, may iba't ibang abilities, learning styles, and personal circumstances. Kaya hindi natin pwedeng i-expect na lahat sila ay matututo sa exact same way gamit lang ang one method. That's impossible. So, accommodations are needed because it ensures fairness. Bakit? Isipin na lang natin, hindi makatarungan kung pipilitin nating tumakbo ang isang batang may kapansanan sa paa dahil nagagawa ng iba. Para mas fair, pwede natin silang bigyan ng another way or another approach para makasali pa rin sila. That's why it ensures fairness. Pangalawa, barriers are removed. Students struggles not because they lack ability, but because yung lesson na pinipresent ay hindi lang talaga nag-fit or hindi lang talaga akma sa kanila. Kaya pwede nating baguhin yung presentation natin. Pangatlo, it promotes inclusion. Siyempre, kailangan nating masigurado na lahat ng estudyante ay naipapakita yung kakayahan nila at walang naiiwan dapat. And last, of course, it improves confidence and motivation. Kung ikaw yung estudyante, tayo, di ba mas nakakaganang mag-aral kung may nagmamotivate sa atin, lalo na kung yung teachers mismo natin. Kaya mahalaga na i-accommodate din natin yung mga bata because nakakataas din yun ng confidence and motivation nila.
Hi! Hello! Ako nga pala si Jamaica O. Pagadora, your certified kikay. Favorite ko ang color pink. Di naman halata, no? And kapag free time ko, mahilig ako mag-scroll sa TikTok. Imo ko love lang. Lang love ko nimo. Magandang araw! Ako nga pala si Jamaica O. Pagadora. And ngayong araw ay pag-uusapan natin ang mga klase ng types of assessment tools, pati na rin ang mga example at advantages nito. Alam niyo ba na sobrang daming type of assessment tools? Nariyan na yung formative assessment, kung saan nagbibigay ng quiz ang teacher pagkatapos ng lesson upang malaman kung may naintindihan nga ba ang mga estudyante or kung kailangan na ba niya mag-proceed sa next topic. Pangalawa naman is ang summative assessment. Kung kanina ay every topic nagbibigay ng quiz si teacher, sa summative assessment naman ay every end of quarter. Ginagawa iyon upang malaman kung meron nga ba talaga tayong natutunan bago mag-exam. Pero sa dinami-dami ng types of assessment tools, itong tatlo ang dapat niyong tandaan. Una, ang observation checklist. Maaari ba natin itong basahin ng sabay-sabay? Yan. Observation checklist is an assessment tool used by teachers to record and evaluate their students' behavior, skills, or performances during classroom activities. Ibig sabihin, ginagamit ang observation checklist upang i-evaluate yung ugali o di kaya yung skills na pinapakita ng isang estudyante during classroom activities. Ang example nito ay yan. Pwede tayong gumamit ng yes or no or di kaya ng mga ratings katulad ng mga good, better, and best. Ngayon, dumako naman po tayo sa pangalawang assessment, which is anecdotal report. Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng anecdotal report? It is a written narrative record. Ang ibig sabihin po ng narrative ay pakwento. Pakwento pong isinasalaysay ni teacher ang naobserbahan niya pagdating sa students sa loob ng classroom. Pwede pong ikwento doon ni teacher ang ugali, skills, at ang knowledge ni student pagdating po sa mga activities. Ang example nito ay ganito. Yan. Example po dyan is si Juan. Ganyan. Ganyan po yung example ng anecdotal report. Ano nga ba ang advantage nito? Ang advantage po ng anecdotal report ay mas detailed ito pagdating sa pagbibigay ng observation kay students. Bakit po? Dahil pakwento niya pong isinasalaysay ang mga nakikita niya pagdating sa mga estudyante during school hours. Ayan. And nakakatulong din po ito upang makapag-monitor ng social and emotional development ng student. Ngayon, pumunta naman po tayo sa pinakalas, which is portfolio assessment. Ayan, pwede niyo po ba ulit akong sabayan sa pagbabasa? Portfolio assessment is a collection of student works gathered over time to show progress and learning development. Ayan. So, ang example po ng portfolio assessment is yung pinapakolect po tayo ni teacher ng mga quiz, performance task, essay, at project at iba pang outputs. Para po, at the end of the quarter, is makita ni teacher kung nag-improve po ba tayo by using our score sa mga outputs po na yon. And ano nga ba ang advantages ng portfolio assessment? Dahil natatabi ng estudyante yung mga outputs niya, mas napupursige po ang estudyante na magpatuloy or galingan pa sa kanyang ginagawa. Dahil po, hindi naman natin maikakaila na kapag nakikita natin ang grades natin na patuloy na tumataas, mas lalo po natin itong ginagalingan. Naway meron po kayong natandaan at naintindihan sa aking lesson. Maari na po nating tunghayan si Mr. Phil upang ibahagi niya ang next topic. Paalam!
Every lesson is a step towards success. Do your best and you go far. I'm Janelle Phil. Let's learn together. Instructional accommodation is when we adjust how lessons are taught, how materials are presented, and what activities are given. Ang goal nito ay para maintindihan at makasali lahat ng student. Pero same pa rin ang learning standard at goals na kailangan matutunan. Adjusting teaching methods. Dito naman, binabago ng mga teachers ang style ng pagtuturo para umakma sa pangangailangan ng lahat. Instead na puro lecture lang, gumagamit sila ng visual aids, videos, or group discussions. For examples ay pagsasalita ng malinaw at dahan-dahan, gumagamit ng gestures, lahati ang lesson sa mas maikling parte, nagbibigay ng step-by-step na direction para mas madaling masundan. Modified activities and materials. Ito naman yung pagbabago ng gamit o gawain para mas madaling intindihin o gamitin, pero parehas pa rin ang itinuturo. For example is malalaking sulat. Number 2, summarize notes. Number 3 is audio versions ng babasahin. Number 4 is pagpayag na magsalita o guhit na lamang imbes na mahahabang sulatan. Is examples of instructional accommodation in class. Number 1 is use diagrams at videos. Halimbawa, sa pagtuturo about sa water cycle, pinapakita ang video at drawing na may kulay para mas madali nilang makita at intindihin ang proseso. Number 2, binibigyan ng audiobooks o simpleng text. Imbis na kwento lang sa papel, bibigyan siya ng recording na babasahin ng malakas o kaya pinaikli para pinaikli at pinadali ang mga salita para madaling sundan. Number 3 is may attention issues. Pinapahinga saglit at tinatanggal ang nakakaabala. Number 4, may motor challenges. Gumagamit ng malalaking gamit o pinapayagang sumagot ng pasalita. Halimbawa, binibigyan ng malalaking lapis o papel para ang mga estudyante para mas madaling hawakan at pinapayagang isalita ang sagot sa halip na magsulat ng mahaba. Panghuli ay binibigyan ng bilingual materials. Halimbawa, ang mga aralin ay may kasamang Tagalog at English na paliwanag at may mga larawang kasama para maintindihan niya agad kahit hindi niya pa kabisado ang wika. So here, testing accommodation. Ito naman, ang testing accommodation ay sa paano ibinibigay, isinasagot, o itinutake ang test. Sinisiguro nito na sinusukat kung ano ang alam ng estudyante. Hindi hahadlang ang hirap sa pagbasa, sa pagsulat, sa focus o sa kakayahang pisikal ng estudyante. Kaya kung ano talaga ang natutunan niya, yun ang magiging makikita sa resulta. Flexible assessment for learners with different needs. Dito, ang pagsusuri ay dapat umakma sa estudyante. Hindi ang estudyante ang aakma sa pagsusuri. Flexible ito pero hindi binababa ang antas sa pagsusuri. Kasama nito ang pagbibigay ng extra time. Pangalawa is pagpapalit ng format ng test. Imbis na multiple choice, ay imbis na essay, gagawin multiple choice na lamang. Pangatlo is paglilipat sa tahimik na lugar. Number 4 is pagpayag na sumagot ng pasalita o pagsulat na lamang. Number 5 is paghahati ng mahabang test sa ilang parte. Examples of testing accommodation in class. Number 1 is visual impairment. Dito, ang mga malalaking sulat o malaki sulat sa papel o binabasa ang tanong ng malakas o kaya binababasahin ng guro ang tanong ng malakas, malinaw, at mabagal para marinig ng estudyante. Pangalawa ay tinutulungan sa pagbasa o pinapasimple ang panuto. Ang mga tanong ay ginagawang maikli at tinutulungan siyang basahin ang mga nakalagay kapag ang estudyante ay nahihirapan. Hiwalay na kwarto at may pahinga habang nagte-test. Sinasagawa ang test in a separate room para hindi siya kabahan o ma-distract. Sunod ay pinapayagang gumamit ng computer o may katulong na sumulat. Pinapagamit siya ng laptop para i-type ang mga sagot o kaya ay may mga kaklase na katulong maisulat kung ano ang sinasabi niya para hindi mahirapan sa pagsulat. Panghuli ay binibigyan ng glossary o salin ng panuto. May kasamang maliit na listahan ng kahulugan na mahirap na salita o isinasalin ang mga panuto sa wikang mas naiintindihan ng estudyante.
Now, I will discuss about the Instructional and Testing Accommodation Program. So, first in Instructional Accommodation is the Special Education Program. So, it is designed for learners with disabilities and focuses on their needs and differences. So, Special Education Programs, it is a program intended for children with disabilities and special needs. So, it helps students to learn differently because of their condition. So, nandito yung mga students na may learning difficulties, yung may autism, and those learners na may hearing and vision problems. So, the teacher will adjust their lessons and activities para mag-match doon sa level ng disabilities ng isang learner. So, for example, yung isang learner na may hearing impairment, so, ang gagawin ng isang teacher is she may use a sign language or the visual aids. So, while those learners na may learning disabilities may given the simpler instructions or bigyan ng mahabang oras para matapos yung activity na pinagawa ng isang guro. So in special education, tinitiyak nito na ang mga students with disabilities receive appropriate support so they can access quality education, na ma-develop yung potential nila and they can participate meaningfully in school and community life. The second one is the inclusion program. So inclusion program, students with disabilities can learn in regular classrooms together with learners without disabilities. So, inclusion program meaning learners with disabilities and special needs ay pwedeng pumasok sa school at mag-aral kasama yung mga regular students. So, instead na hiwalay sila sa mga walang disabilities, so nagkaroon ng batas which is the Republic Act number 11650 na isama ang mga learners with disabilities sa pangkalatang sistema ng edukasyon. So, for example, students who have autism may join regular class, but a teacher will give an extra support and guided instructions to help them socialize and matuto kasama mga students na walang disabilities. Okay, so in inclusion program, it promotes equality and pagtanggap and understanding among all students. So dahil dito natuto silang makisama at igalang ang pagkakaiba ng lahat ng students. So the third one is the indigenization and contextualization of curriculum. So indigenizations it includes the indigenous knowledge and culture and teaching. So indigenization is instead of teaching general history, the teacher may include the lessons about indigenous knowledge, cultures, and traditions. On the other hand, contextualization connects lesson to real-life situations. So, and contextualization is connecting the lessons to real life, connecting the lessons to students' real-life experiences. In indigenization and contextualization of curriculum, it ensures that education is accessible and meaningful para sa mga learners na nagmula sa iba't ibang pinanggalingan. So, it makes education responsive to the diverse realities of all learners. So, next is the testing accommodation program. So, first, we have the alternative learning system or tinatawag nating ALS. So, it is a program of Department of Education for out-of-school youth and adult learners. So, ang alternative learning system is ito ay isang programa na inilunsad ng Department of Education para sa mga hindi nakapagtapos ng formal na edukasyon. So, ito ay isang flexible na paraan ng pag-aaral para sa mga out-of-school youth and mga adult learners. So, for example, if the students na nagtatrabaho at wala siyang time or hindi makapasok sa regular na school, ay pwedeng mag-enroll at mag-aral dito sa ALS at makapagtapos para makakuha ng diploma. Okay, so alternative learning system, it gives a second chance to learn at sinisigurado nito na ang edukasyon ay accessible para sa lahat kahit anuman ang kanilang sitwasyon. So fifth is the out-of-school youth. So these are people age 15 to 30 who are not in school and they are not employed. So out-of-school youth refers to individuals age 15 to 30 years old na hindi nag-aaral at wala silang trabaho. So, para matulungan sila, may programang inilunsad ang United States Agency for International Development and partnership with Department of Education and TESDA, which is the Opportunity 2.0 or a second chance opportunity for out-of-school youth project. Okay, so sa out-of-school youth is nagbibigay ito ng second chance sa mga kabataan na makapag-aral at magkaroon ng magandang kinabukasan. So, it ensures that youth are not left behind in educational opportunities. So next is the disadvantaged children. So these are lack of access to basic needs and education. So they may come from low income or marginalized groups. So this disadvantaged children is sila yung mga students who face challenges dahil na sa kahirapan and lack of resources or limited access to education. Okay, so disadvantaged children ensures that all children, regardless of their background, have equal access to education. Okay, lastly is the adult learners. So, older individuals returning to school to finish a degree or earn a new one. So, adult learners is, ito yung mga taong bumalik sa pag-aaral kahit na may edad na sila or mas matanda sila sa mga klase nila para tapusin ang kanilang pag-aaral or matuto ng new skills. And for example is like may isang magulang na hindi nakapagtapos ng high school, maaari siyang mag-enroll sa US upang makakuha siya ng diploma at mas magandang trabaho.
Hello everyone! Hope you are doing well. My name is Rajan Andy Aranas and I'm the presenter of the Madrasa Education Program. Good day everyone! Today, I will be discussing Madrasa Education Program. Before I begin, how many of you here speak or understand more than one language? Great! Now, keep your hands up if you have to completely abandon your family's culture or heritage just to learn that second language in school. Exactly! None of us should have to trade our identity for an education. And that is what Madrasa Education is all about. Imagine waking up tomorrow and being told that to keep your education, you have to completely drop your culture, your native language, and your faith. For generations, many Muslim learners in our country face a silent struggle of balancing their identities with standard schooling. Today, we will discover how Madrasa Education Program shattered that barrier to prove that true education leaves no identity behind. Let us start with the core meaning. What is a madrasa? The word madrasa simply means school in Arabic. However, it represents far more than just a classroom. It is a holistic system designed to develop students both academically and spiritually. Key point number 1. Madrasa education proves that learning should never force a student to abandon their identity. It provides a space where secular knowledge and cultural faith coexist. For example, imagine a young Muslim student named Amir. If he goes to a strict secular school, he learns math but might lose touch with his language and heritage. If he goes to a purely religious center, he learns his faith but misses out on science. Madrasa education exists, so Amir has never to choose between his religion and his future career. Explaining the 4 programs. To cater to students like Amir, our education system utilizes 4 distinct models or programs. Type 1. We have Madrasa Alive. Alive stands for Arabic Language and Islamic Values Education. This is an ingenious program because it happens inside our public schools. Muslim students attending regular public schools are given dedicated classes to learn Arabic and Islamic values, ensuring they aren't left behind. For example, Amina is a grade 4 student attending in regular public school. At 2 p.m., while her Christian classmates go to elective period or head home, Amina and her Muslim peers stayed for an extra hour. A specialized teacher guides them in Arabic writing and Islamic ethics. This is Alive in action, bringing inclusion directly into public classrooms. Type 2. Type 2 is the traditional or weekend madrasa. Think of this as the Islamic equivalent of Sunday school. It is non-formal, held only on weekends, and focuses entirely on religious literacy like reading the Quran. Because it is non-graded and highly localized, it holds no official DepEd recognition. For example, Khalid goes to a standard private school on weekdays. On Sunday mornings, his parents send him to a local community center where an imam teaches him how to recite the Quran. It is highly valued by the community, but it has no DepEd accreditation. Let's do a quick memory check to see who is paying attention. I just discussed the first two types of programs. If a Muslim student attends a regular public school from Monday to Friday but takes an extra class at 2 p.m. for Arabic and Islamic values, what program is that? Shout it out on 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect! You guys are sharp. That is exactly the public school track. Type 3 is the development or formal madrasa. This operates like a full-time private school with formal grade levels, using Arabic as the medium of instruction. While they introduce basic math and science, their curriculum is overwhelmingly religious and does not align with national standards. Thus, they are not accredited by the government. A student graduating from here cannot automatically transfer to a mainstream secular college. Type 4 is the standard private madrasa. This is the gold standard of integrated education. Regulated under DepEd number 51, these private schools offer the best of both worlds. They teach the exact same K-12 subjects as any secular school, but they also teach a full Islamic studies and Arabic language curriculum. They are fully accredited, allowing their graduates to seamlessly transition into mainstream universities. For example, Fatima attends a private madaris. In the morning, she takes a standard K-12 algebra, biology, and English. In the afternoon, she shifts to advanced Arabic and Islamic jurisprudence. Because this school is fully accredited, Fatima can graduate and immediately enroll in any university to become a doctor or engineer. Key point number 2. The distinction lies in accreditation. Alive and standard private madaris are government-approved pathways to college, while traditional and developmental madaris focus strictly on private religious preservation. Conclusion: the role in preserving culture. To conclude, why does this matter? Madrasa education plays an irreplaceable role in preserving culture and education simultaneously. It acts as an identity shield, protecting the youth from losing their heritage. It preserves the Arabic language, fosters social cohesion, and promotes peace by teaching moderation and mutual respect. Ultimately, madrasa education shows us that a unified nation is not one where everyone is the same, but one where our diverse cultures are given equal space to thrive. To wrap everything up, let us remember that the madrasa education program is not just an alternative school system. It is a bridge. It bridges the gap between secular academic excellence and deep cultural preservation. As a future educators and leaders, it is vital for us to realize that national unity does not mean uniformity. We do not build a strong nation by forcing everyone to look, speak, or pray the same way. We build a strong nation by ensuring that every student, regardless of their faith, tribe, or background, feel seen, valued, and accommodated inside our classrooms. Madrasa education is living proof that inclusivity is the heartbeat of the truly progressive education system. Thank you very much for your time and your active participation for today. God bless us all.
A great class is not about teaching the same way but understanding different learners. Good day, I'm Tiffany Ashley Bautista, and today I'll try my best to discuss our topic without putting anyone to sleep. Hopefully. Good day everyone, I'm Tiffany Ashley Bautista, and today I will be discussing the special interest programs and quality differentiated instruction. So ano nga ba ang special interest programs? So, ito yung mga programs designed to help students improve their talents, skills, and interests in specific areas. So, ito yung mga programa na ginawa para matulungan ang mga estudyante na ma-develop ang kanilang talents, skills, and interests in specific fields. So, bukod sa regular classroom lessons, nagbibigay ito ng additional training at learning experiences para mahasa ang kanilang mga skills. And of course, their abilities. So, sa Philippines, maraming schools sa ilalim ng Department of Education or DepEd ang nag-offer ng iba't ibang special programs para suportahan ang learners na may mga special needs, talento, or kakayahan. So, meron tayo ditong 4 na example ng special interest programs. The first one is Special Program in the Arts or SPA. So, dito naman, yung program nito ay para sa students na merong mga talento tulad na lamang ng music, arts, theater arts, visual arts, or creative writing. So, dito natutulungan yung mga estudyante na ma-improve ang kanilang artistic side or mga artistic talents na habang ipinagpapatuloy pa rin ang kanilang academics. So, nagkakaroon sila ng pagkakataon na mas mapakita ang kanilang creativity at self-expression. Second, we have Special Program in Sports or SPS. So, dito naman, dito pasok yung mga sports tulad na lang ng basketball, volleyball, mga athletics na tulad na lamang din ng swimming. So, sa program na ito, nabibigyan ng students ng proper sports training habang binabalanse pa rin ang kanilang studies. So, nakakatulong ito para ma-develop, of course, yung discipline, teamwork, tsaka yung physical fitness ng learners. Third one, we have Science High Schools. So, halimbawa na lang dito ay yung Philippines Science High School System. So, sa para lang ito ay naghahanda ang students para maging future scientists, researchers, engineers, and of course, innovators. The fourth one and last one, we have Technical Vocational Livelihood or yung TVL. Ang TVL track ay isang senior high school strand na nagtuturo ng practical at job-ready skills tulad na lamang ng cookery, ICT, automotive, electronics, and tourism. So, dito sa TVL, inihahanda nito yung mga students makahanap agad ng mga trabaho, makapagnegosyo, o magkaroon ng specialized skills pagkatapos ng senior high school. Now, bakit nga ba importante yung special interest programs? Kasi, unang-una nade-develop dito yung talents and skills ng isang bata. Nai-increase yung confidence and yung motivation nila, and of course, pinaprepare yung students for their future careers. Hindi rin mawawala dito na ma-develop and mas ma-enhance pa yung kanilang encourage pagdating sa creativity and discipline. Pinapromote nito yung holistic development. Hindi lang academics ang nade-develop, kundi pati physical, emotional, social at creative skills ng students. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa quality differentiated instruction. So, kapag sinabing differentiated instruction, it is a teaching approach in which teachers adjust lessons and activities according to students, needs, abilities, interests, and learning styles. So, sa madaling salita, layunin nito na matulungan ang lahat ng learners na matuto effectively kahit magkakaiba ang kanilang kakayahan. So, meron tayo dito ang differentiated strategies in instruction na nagkakonsist ng 4. So, sa una, meron tayong differentiating content. So, dito, nagbibigay ang teacher ng iba't ibang learning materials depende sa level ng students. Halimbawa na lamang, nagpo-provide ng reading materials ang teachers para matulungan yung mga struggling students na mag-catch up sa lessons. Another example is by providing advanced activities para naman sa fast learners. So sa ganitong paraan, mas maintindihan ng learners ang lesson ayon sa kanilang level. Second, we have differentiating process. So dito, iba-iba rin ang activities na ginagamit para matuto ang students tulad na lamang ng group works, games, role-playing, and hands-on activities. So nakakatulong ito para mas maging engaging at enjoyable ang learning experience ng mga learners sa loob ng classroom. Third one, we have differentiating product. Dito naman, pinapayagan ng students na ipakita ang kanilang learning sa iba't ibang paraan gaya na lamang ng poster, essay, reporting o kaya naman video reporting. So dito, naipapakita ng learners ang kanilang understanding sa gamit o sa paraan na mas komportable sila. Tulad na lamang ng pasok ngayon, video presentation or reporting. And the last one, we have flexible grouping. So dito, pinapangkat-pangkat ng teacher ang students base sa kanilang skills, interests, and learning needs. So nakakatulong ito para mas maging creative and pagdating sa collaboration ng learning sa bawat grupo. Ngayon, bakit nga ba importante ang learner-centered teaching pagdating sa paaralan? Unang-una sa lahat, ang learner-centered teaching ay approach na nakafocus sa participation, interest, at needs ng student kaysa puro lamang lectures. Siyempre, mas engaging nga naman kung meron tayo iba't ibang styles pagdating sa pagtuturo. Pagdating naman sa benefits, meron tayo nito, of course, na-encourage sila sa active participation. Mas na-engganyo silang mag-participate, mag-recite kasi nakikita nila na enjoyable. Pangalawa, nagpo-provide ito ng confidence. Mas nagbi-build up ang confidence nila over time kapag nakikita nila na maayos to, nag-engage rin yung ibang students. And third one, yung pagdating sa mga ganito, sa learning, mas enjoyable para sa kanila kasi mas na-engage sila na nakikita. Siyempre, may visuals, iba't iba din yung styles na ginagamit ng teachers na nakadepende sa level o yung pace ng students. At yun nga, mas nade-develop rin yung kanilang creativity thinking. Ayun lamang po sa Special Interest Programs and Quality Differentiated Instruction at sana may natutunan kayo. Akin namang sunod na tatalakayin ang purpose, role and inclusion sa homeschool or distance learning. So ano nga ba ang homeschool or distance learning at ano ang purpose nito? So ito ay isang paraan ng pag-aaral para sa mga students na hindi makapasok o maka-attend regularly sa kanilang traditional school. So ginagawa ito sa bahay sa pamamagitan ng online classes, modules, videos at iba pang learning materials. So, ang purpose nito ay mag-provide ng education to learners who cannot attend regular school. By the word itself, provide, nagbibigay ito ng chance sa mga learners na makapagpatuloy sa kanilang pag-aaral kahit na may sakit, may disability, malayo sa school o kaya naman may personal na problema sa kanilang tahanan. Pangalawa, it offers flexible options that fit individual needs and situations. So, mas flexible ang kanilang schedule at paraan ng pag-aaral. Pwedeng mag-aral ang students ayon sa kanilang sariling oras, pace at learning style. So nakakatulong din ito lalong-lalo na sa mga working students, athletes at learners with special needs. Pangatlo, it ensures education is accessible to everyone. So, kahit nasa malayong lugar o may problema sa transportation, maaari pa rin makapag-aral gamit lamang ang internet, printed modules, o other learning resources. So, dahil dito, mas maraming learners ang magkakaroon ng access sa education. And lastly, role and inclusion. It gives alternative learning paths for learners who cannot participate in traditional school settings. So mahalaga ang homeschool at distance learning sa inclusive education dahil nagbibigay ito ng alternative learning paths para sa mga learners na hindi kayang sumabay sa regular classroom settings. So tinutulungan ito na walang maiiwan sa pag-aaral at mabigyan ng bawat student ng opportunity na matuto sa paraang mas komportable at bagay para sa kanila.